You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello, today is Monday the 14th of October 2024. You're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. The muse didn't hit me today. I was hoping it would. I really was hoping it would, but it didn't. So I shall just tell you about the quite pleasant day that I had. So, first thing, I got up, showered, etc., and drove into Kenilworth. As I've said before, I'm a National Trust and English Heritage member, and I'm kind of looking at how much I've used it in this year, and kind of feel I need a couple more trips on both to make it worthwhile, to make sure that basically the entrance fees that I haven't had to pay are greater than the amount I paid for the membership. So I did National Trust yesterday, where I went, a place I talked about yesterday. Today, I went to English Heritage Kenilworth Castle. As I say, it's about 35, 40 minutes in the car, so it's not terribly far away. It's about 22 miles, so I head out from where I am towards Coventry, and I can either go kind of near the airport and out that way, or bypass Baggington completely and sort of head towards Leamington Spa and in that way. Anyway, it doesn't really matter how I got there. I got there. And the first thing I suppose I didn't realise was that I thought the castle was much closer to the centre of the town, and it actually isn't. So I parked, I went in, scanned in, and had a wander around. And I've got to say, it's very, very impressive. So I don't think even when I entered, because I could see the remains of the castle, but I don't think I appreciated how much you can physically get into. I think you can get into every building. So it's kind of, there was an original medieval keep, and then they built an extension, and then they built another bit which was basically there, built by the owner because he really wanted to woo Elizabeth II. He thought he could propose marriage and she would. And it obviously didn't happen. She's well known as the Virgin Queen who never married. But so effectively the building's in three chunks that kind of form a semicircle around an open bit. And then there's also a gatekeeper's, well, I say gatekeeper's cottage, it's bloody massive as well. And it's the only building that's still intact that you can wander around. So I had a wander around that. Actually, that's not true. The horses, the stables still exist, and they are absolutely stunning. I mean, inside they just look absolutely amazing. It's been converted into gift shop, museum space, and a little secondhand bookshop. Sorry, not gift shop. Tea room. So that was all really impressive. But then the actual castle, I genuinely, there's one bit where, because you get these audio guides, so you can literally walk around and you listen to it like a phone, and it tells you press the number on the display board outside a certain area, like number 8, and it tells you all about that area. And it's hugely impressive. I mean, the views from around there are stunning. So you can actually get into pretty much every bit. I mean, the most dilapidated bit is the bit in the middle, which was the bit that kind of joined the old keep to although they're both pretty knackered actually. But they were describing, so that big patch of grass there is actually where the grand this is near the kitchens. They're saying the big patch of grass there was actually where the steps were, and you can see the archway that led into the Great Hall because that's still there even though the steps are missing, and you can see all like the oven spaces, and it's just really impressive. And then the most modern bit, the bit that was effectively built for Queen Elizabeth I, again, there's quite a lot of it missing, but there's enough of the structure remaining. They've put some steps in so you can wander up and get the views, and you can actually see, there's fireplaces halfway up the wall, and you can see where the what you call them, the joists, is that the right word? The bits that held the floor up, anyway, I'm sure it is joists, would have been. You can see the holes in the walls where the joists were. It was absolutely stunning. So I spent a good couple of hours wandering around that, walked a couple of miles. But then I was hoping to go and have a cup of tea and some lunch. And I don't know why, but they weren't serving any food today. All you could have was cake. Well, I'm being paranoid about my weight at the moment, really, really paranoid, more than normal. I mean, I've actually eaten very sensibly today. And the last thing I wanted to do was go and eat some cake. I wanted soup or something, and they didn't have it. And then I was going to drive into Kenilworth, but it was all park and ride and really complicated, and I just thought, I'll sod this. So I ended up driving back home, and it was there that I was hoping to do the writing. And sort of by the time I got home, I was hungry, so I made myself some lunch, and then I wasn't really in the mood to go into town where I am, which is where I wanted to do. I'm at the moment I seem to be struggling to write in my house, so that's fine. Go out and write somewhere else, and that was my plan. But as I say, by the time I'd had lunch, I wasn't really mentally in the right place for it. So I had a pleasant afternoon. I did a bit of exercise. I went and bought a couple of bits and pieces, did a bit of shopping, thought about what I need to write in upcoming chapters. So again, I suppose in a way it's good that it's not being written, because I think I'd be writing it for the sake of writing it when the exact plan of how things are going to have to play out are not totally finalised in my head. And I think even having this conversation now, I'm thinking different ideas around it. So I was going to have the chapter of death which just featured side characters, but actually I think it's going to feature a main character as well. Somebody that I always planned to die, but I think just having him being the last death in that chapter. But then there's also some positive stuff. As I said yesterday, I've suddenly realised that there'll be one or two characters who are rescued by the Skuld to be saved. So that's pretty cool. So it wasn't a totally creative day, but it wasn't a creative-less day either. My plan tomorrow, I haven't really got one yet. I've again been looking at English Heritage and National Trust stuff. So I'm kind of thinking go and do something in the morning again, and then try and find somewhere to write in the afternoon. Obviously that didn't work out today, but it may tomorrow, but we shall see how it goes. Also, I was going to Seattle on Thursday. That flight has now been cancelled, so I'm going to Atlanta instead. It's all round about the same time, start and finish at the same time. Maybe finish slightly earlier actually, because it's a shorter flight, but not much earlier, to be fair. Anyway, that's me for today. Thank you for listening. I'll be back hopefully at the same time tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.